just keeping it a little bit moist. I'm not going overly wet, but just enough to pull that over. Hi, thank you for being here for my second affirmation painting. I changed the plan this week for today's card. I'm Chris, an animal artist, and during the week I went down to the coast and I went with my trusty camera because actually hiding behind the camera always gives you cover. That's how I feel. And the waves were stronger than normal, and I do like to catch the waves. And then last night, whilst I was thinking about my painting for today, and I plotted it all out, and then as I was going to bed I thought, that's not right for today, that's not actually the next one. So I've changed the plan to painting the waves with a whale in the picture as well, because that whale might just remind us that we have to breathe through the waves of grief. So let's get started. So there, I'm just putting that nice sky as a quick wash in, and then my sea. I'm not even going to go all over, I don't think, at this point. I did change my subject. This was what I was going to do this week because I needed the trip by the sea. I think I told you that in the intro, and I changed to doing the coast because grief does come in waves. So I thought this week I've had the 4th anniversary of my husband dying, which has been an unusual one this time. It's the first time I've spent it on my own, and to be honest, as much as I thought that would be absolutely horrendous, it wasn't. And if my daughter watches this, I know she'll be happy with that comment. But I still took time out. I still took time out to honour him with memories. At one point, I wasn't going to go through photos, but I did just because I was looking for something. The night before was the worst bit, because I was worried about being on my own, I suppose. So yeah, I didn't sleep. That's unusual, isn't it? You all know that bit, that you don't sleep. And that was fine, you know, in the end it was fine. But what I did do, I wrote him a letter. And that's what I think sometimes helps massively for me. And I'd not written him a letter for quite a while. So I have a special book for it. I got the book out and wrote a letter to Rob. And it wasn't, oh, woe is me that I'm on my own. It was actually more, do you remember when? Do you remember all the lovely things we did together? Do you remember different occasions? And you know what? It was nice. And then I did sleep. So sometimes that writing the letters does help. Let me know in the comments if you write letters and how that feels to you. Does it help? Does it help about speaking to your loved one in a letter form? I bought a special book just for that. It's a little book, I just saw it, and it said on the front, love always. And I thought that just said what I needed it to say, right from the title on the front page, because it is love always. Maybe I should have rubbed that line out underneath, but I think with a good coat of paint, we'll get that covered anyway. I probably need to get a better wipe. This one's not a very good one, actually, that I've just picked up. So whales have a connection with emotion. They represent family as well. They live together, don't they? But they go for miles and they sing, and I think there's a peaceful strength in them, which I think for people in, you know, with this grief card is a good representation, really, of where we are, where we can be, how life affects us. And the same with the sea. There's times, I know I went down to Powfoot, as I said, which is not far from where I live, and there's times that tide can creep in and you don't even know, you know, unless you're watching, it's suddenly there. But then there's other times, and when I went down the other day, it roars in, the wind's behind it, there's a more ferocity about it. And that's what grief does. There's days when it's just like the tide, it's rolling in, and raw. But you know, eventually as the years pass, for those of us who was a little bit further on than others, thankfully those waves get wider and wider apart, and that rawness and that anger and that ferocity does calm. And although grief can hit you when you're not expecting it, it does get softer. And that's what we all hope, isn't it? That we get to that softness. And a little bit of white down there. I'm just adding touches of this white because I know I want to get some reflection. I'm not going in too strong. Everything's quite a suggestion of where I want everything to be. This is a bit of a create as I go, as usual. But that's how my art is. I might go and get reference pictures. I might have a quick look at what I want to do, but then I create it from several reference pictures. I don't like that skyline there. That needs knocking back. The nice thing as well with a bit of acrylic, you can get a bit of texture in there for the waves. I often gravitate towards the coast when I'm feeling a little bit low, and it's one of those things that Rob always picked up on with me. If I looked as though I was low, which sometimes I was, I've always run my own business, and sometimes it's quite stressful, and he always used to pick up on that and say, shall we go to the coast and watch the tide come in? And even through all that dreadful lockdown year, we would pack because there's nowhere open to get a coffee or anything, we'd pack a picnic and head to the coast. And a lot of people did. It's surprising how many people were at the coast that year, just calming themselves and taking in nature, because nature is a great leader in the way we respond to life. You only have to look at nature to see that even now in the autumn here, you know, as the leaves are starting to turn, ready to drop, it's natural. It's natural for rebirth, isn't it? You know, saying these things are natural, and I know in life it is natural that people die. It doesn't make it any easier, that bit, does it? Because we don't want to be the one left behind. For that person left behind, it's horrendous to deal with. I'm going to be honest, actually, I've never painted a whale before, and it's different, isn't it? Because I'm used to a coat or a skin of an animal that wrinkles or moves or does something more than is just flat and is probably completely waterproof and shiny. So what do you do to help when you're in the depths of grief hitting? I mean, you might be quite raw to all of this and not know yet and not realise what will help, because a day at a time is the most you're doing. And do you know, that's absolutely fine. You will in the end find ways of thinking, oh, I'll try that, and maybe that'll just for a while take my mind off this awful depth of grief that we can find ourselves in. Like I say, with the waves, it comes in waves, and those waves are vicious to start with, and I don't think you realise how much you can cry. In fact, we could probably all fill an ocean with our tears of when we're going through it the worst. But for me, yeah, the painting did give me a little bit of time out, a little bit of, if I concentrated on something really detailed, and I look back at some of my art, there's a lot of work went in them, but the more work, the more occupied my mind was, and that really did help me. And hopefully, you know, you might find that as well. You don't have to create an actual animal. You can do, you can even paint flowers, or you can just paint objects, or you can just be abstract and just get some marks on some paper. So leave in the comments, what sort of things that help you, because I do think that if we share what helps us, it can actually help somebody else, and that's the whole idea of all what I'm doing with this this YouTube challenge and my painting through grief section of it is really to let other people see how I coped, how I did it, and hopefully help them along the way as well. Give them hope, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's hope that, gosh, this awful place that you're in, that you don't want to be in, none of us asked for it, did we? I know in life these things happen, and sadly one person in every single couple, one of them will go through this. It doesn't make it easier when it's you. And quite often you get to a point you go, well, why was I not the one to go first? Sometimes I look back and wonder how my gran coped with it, my nan, because I don't think we were as aware, and I don't think that people have been outspoken about it as much as maybe we are now, because it's a shitty journey. Sorry, my language isn't always good on that one. People think you're over it, people think you're doing all right, but actually you're not always. I'm going to leave that bit to dry because I think I'm going to bring in a different blue as well. Right, so having a quick look at my picture, a piece of artwork. I think we should have the sky at the top a bit darker. I was debating clouds, but I've decided to go actually quite smooth with the sky and just keep the movement in the sea rather than both. If I go over anything that I really at this point decide that, because I'm slightly changing that sky, it doesn't matter because I can build. That's why I decided I was going to do this one with the acrylic, because actually you can go dark to light, whereas other mediums you can't. You can with oil, but oil would take forever to dry, and we wouldn't be finishing this one today. I think I'm a bit happy with that actually now. I think the tide actually just moved by influence from the moon. I'm not sure how all that works, but I'm sure I've read that before now. We've lost a bit of smoothness up there, haven't we? I'm just keeping it a little bit moist. I'm not going overly wet, but just enough to pull that over without having back marks. There we go. Okay. So some of this nice colour I'm going to put into the picture as well. Are you following along? Are you doing it yourself? Are you just watching today? I've not got a template in. I'm not sure if anyone would want a template for the whale, or whether that's something that you would be able to find. If you do, just give me a nod. I can always add one into the comments if I need to, and just message you to say it's there. So I'm going to put some of that colour also into the sea because it continues the colour scheme down. We'll put those islands back in afterwards. Okay. I'm much preferring my sky now, which is always good. And I want to just get some more of that. You can do a light wash over with this as well. You don't have to always go in thick. Building up layers with washes is good, opposed to trying to be too thick all the time. It's another bonus as well with the acrylic. That's fun actually, because it's such an angle, it's so straight with me, it's quite hard sometimes to see, so I'm just going to lift that. Yeah, I like that. Once that's dried, I'm going to put the horizon in with the white a little bit stronger, because I think that definitely needs to be. A bit naughty now. See how I splayed the bush out? That's because I want to just sort of go and just get some of those marks in. I didn't want it to be even. Just on those wave lines. Will be a bit just at the top of that one, maybe. I'm actually loving the fact it's gone very turquoisey now, to be honest. I think that was a better place to go. I think I should have picked the wrong blue originally for that turquoisey look. So I'm going to have some of that down here as well. Just a quick wash of it. So does anyone else find the sea calming? Some people are scared of the sea, some people love it. What's your thoughts? And what's your favourite animal? What animal is has meaning to you too? I haven't seen a whale. We did go to look for them once. You know, on one of these boat trips that says whale watching. We never actually found them. But actually the experience was lovely, and going out on the coast and out on the sea was something we both enjoyed doing as well. I've seen dolphins a few times in different places, but maybe one day I'll draw a dolphin. I think somebody did ask me once to do that, so maybe I will add that at some point. So I've decided to cheat with my moon. It's not cheating really, you know, anything helps. So I'm just going to go around it. This is a white pen, is a permanent one, so it's probably acrylic anyway on it, and just draw my circle. That's great. It's not too dark, so I can actually now work into that with some white and get that shiny moon. Now I've gone for that look. So something strange happened this week. As I said, it was the 4th year anniversary. Although I don't really like to call it an anniversary, because it kind of almost is a celebration, and it's not a celebration, is it? It's a remembrance. So sometimes I call it the death day, which is probably a bit also a bit harsh, but call it whatever you may. I've been selling some bits and bobs, you know, around the house that really I'm never going to use again. So I decided I was selling the chainsaw, and I'd been put it on Facebook Marketplace, and 3 people had inquired about it. They were going to buy it and never turned up and let me down. And anyway, on Saturday, and this is the day that Bob died, I get a message, is my chainsaw still for sale? And I just go back, yes. And it's strange because it has all the photos, and it also shows people that it's electric, battery operated, yeah? But everyone asked me, is it battery or is it petrol? A bit strange. But as I had this conversation, just one word answers, I suddenly noticed that the person that was speaking to me had, you know, you get on messages a little picture of them or whatever they use as their emblem on the side. And as I kind of tried to zoom in, and you can't zoom in on it, but there was something that was saying it was a robin. So I screenshot, and there it was. Just this person's emblem was a robin, and they ran a caravan place with, their name was Robinson's, and it was Robinson's whatever. But what was really, really strange is my husband's name, Rob, is actually Robin. And I was like, wow, you couldn't make that up, could you? This is his day that I'm dedicating to him, and I'm having time with him with nice memories, happy memories, and I get that message from this lady. Anyway, they did buy it. They came the following day to collect it. So I told her the story, and she said, oh wow, she said the holiday place that they have is full of robins because her husband's father had died and their name was Robinson, and they put lots of robins round the holiday park in his memory. And you just think, you know, some of these things happen, and maybe happen for a reason. Maybe I wasn't supposed to sell that chainsaw to anyone else. It had to be to them, someone who actually had a connection with the robin, with the name. Have you ever had any funny experiences with oddities that have happened over the since your husband died or your wife died? Has there been little funny things happened that you think, wow, where did that come from? Or is that a message from them? Because I think we do get messages in different ways. I know I get a lot of numbers. I don't know if anyone else does angel numbers. I do angel numbers because it does fascinate me when certain numbers keep cropping up, especially with me trying to rebuild a new business. And sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, is this the right thing to do? And then you get little messages through little numbers, and I'm always wondering, is that from the angels, the universe, Rob? Who knows? But I'd like to believe it was from Rob. Let me know if something like that has happened to you. It's a bit better with the moon now, isn't it? I just want to get that circle around it a little bit stronger. That's one thing I want to, and I'm never very good at this, but we're going to give it a go anyway. But whilst I do it, I want to just cover the bottom of the picture. I'm going to do a splatter up here and just create some stars. I think it would be better if I did it with a different brush. I think that one might do it. So for this, I'm going to make some very watery mix of the white. It's great for your finger. Right, I'm getting it to go in the wrong area. It's going over my table too. Oh dear, never mind, I'll wipe it off. Oh, that's better, isn't it? I still managed to get some on the wheel. Never mind, I'll wipe that off. What do you think? Do you think I've got that enough? I almost would like to put it on that bit there. I don't know if you can see. I've got one corner there that I don't seem to be able to hit. So maybe it's not supposed to have stars in that corner. The little thing that is a good tip, if you've got a horizon that you're trying to do and it needs to be straight, so I'm going to put a bit of straight masking tape that had a bit of a buckle in it. Oh, actually I'll take some of the lip off. Just put that there. And I want to have the horizon on that side quite strong in this blue. When I go in with extra paint, I always go in a different area, otherwise you can pick up the dried paint. So I'm going to just put some of that blue and with that loose. Oh, I'm still painting my table. That's not good, is it? Okay, I can't actually take that off until that's 100% dry because we'll just drag it a little bit, so we'll leave that for now. That moon's nicely, it's nice and bright moon, so it's to nicely reflect right down into the sea. Each layer makes a stronger colour if we just keep repeating over where we've been. If you've enjoyed watching this, and listening to grief stories if it helps you, and you'd like to hear more, then please like and subscribe to my page, because that way you'll hear when I post again, and also it helps me build that page and get my my message out there, because this journey isn't a nice one, and if I can help normalize, because I think that's what it is, that's what I had from other people sometimes, was just normalizing the things you're going through, because you think sometimes you're going completely mad. The whole, especially in the first days, it's like, wow, you cry so much, and you really do think it's taken over, and you don't know how you're going to ever get to a point where that stops. So yeah, please like and subscribe to the page, and then we can build this deck of cards together as well. Just as with the elephant, I don't know if you've watched the elephant painting that I did, which was on the first one of this Painting Through Grief series. Whether you've watched that one, but this one has words going with it as well. And sometimes I've thought of the words, sometimes I change them as I go, as I build. But I think I'm there with the words for it. I think the words for this one are going to be: grief moves like the tide, and I will float with it. And then you don't have to fight the tide. None of us have to fight the tide. Sometimes we have to just sit and let it wash over us, because that's the only way. Sometimes with the grief, you can't beat it, so you just have to let it ride over you until it clears. And it will clear in the end. You just have to be patient and just go with it. So I'm going to go back into those islands now and just get those into back into shape and back there, really, isn't it? Because they're not even there right now. So I've got a nice dark green. So just a little bit of that water is going to go in behind this bit of island and just give it that little bit of extra depth and shape. And I want to try and get some of this detail in with the splash and everything before I really get to grips with the actual whale itself, because quite a lot of this goes behind the whale, or needs to be done first, and then I can get the whale in and then add little bits to the whale as well, because there'll be drop marks down and splashes down. So we'll just get all the suggestion of I think actually it's supposed to come out at an angle as well. That water spraying up, so it's gone up into the air. It's funny how I call most animals he's. I have no idea why. It's just more natural somehow. And then we'll add some of those splash marks like we did in the sky afterwards. That bit further forward is more of a glaze. When you do a glaze, you do it quite watery, and it's so it goes over, but it doesn't quite completely cover underneath. So it just, you can see underneath, but you're just brightening it off like that. I do find it quite therapeutic to paint. But also sometimes it's quite a challenge as well. But it's like, can I reproduce what's in my head? Because, some people do sketches, they do sketchbooking live, but I've never actually had the courage to go out live because most of my art has been done since Rob died. And, I suppose there's part of me doesn't want the attention it might draw, because it is really just a means of me coping with the situation I'm in, that I do paint sometimes. So to go out and do something live, and then if somebody asked me what I was doing or came to look, I think I'd be quite scared. You feel sometimes you just don't say your story and don't say this is why I'm doing something, because I suddenly found myself in a way that I'm on my own. You never know how social people are. I know my mum got ripped off. Somebody who came into her life after my dad had died. I can say that now because she's died as well, so she would never actually hear me say anything about it, but he really did rip her off. And I think maybe that made me twice as conscious of things like that as well. It's one thing when I go out with my camera that I find easier, because when I'm out with the camera, people think that's what you do. You're just there. The camera's like a cover. I think when you take a camera, it's just a picture, isn't it? When you're actually going to paint, they want to see what you paint and how good you are, or anything like that. And I think that's the difference. So I go out with my camera, on my big camera, and it's just like I'm here on my own because I have a big camera. And that sounds so crazy, doesn't it? I bet some of you really, really understand that though, because it's like I have a reason I'm on my own, and this is it. That's special, isn't it? I think that darkness behind there just can help me build that rave. I'm thinking here, so I think I might have some of that nice blue back there. So if you go out for a cover, do you mind people knowing or that you're on your own because you lost somebody so close to you that you would normally be with? I think because I also actually worked with my husband that, we did tend to be always together. Unless he was shopping on his own or because I was finishing off some work. He did work very hard in the business, actually. But he had to be ahead of me because his stage of the job was prior to mine. I don't know if I've got it too sharp now, but we'll see. Do you have a cover? Do you go out with a camera or a book? Some people go with a book, don't they? I think that's another good thing, actually, because you can just hide behind the book, can't you? Especially if you want to go out for something to eat or even just for coffee. Just going out for coffee. I mean, it is hard, isn't it? This is supposed to be a pale grey and it's a bit strong. Maybe it's not when it comes down. Write in the comments what you do, how you feel when you go out for maybe just a coffee or even out just to walk along the coast. All these things become an issue, don't they? It's not just like, I'm just going to do this. It's like, well, I want to do that. How's that going to even feel? No, it gets easier, I can assure you. I know when a new cafe opened here, and I only went in because there was no one else, no cars outside. It was later in the day, and that was the only reason I would allow myself to go in, because I felt very conspicuous of going somewhere on my own, which is completely madness, isn't it, really? So I'm going to look at this picture now, a piece of artwork. I feel we've got to that middle ground where we need dark and then we need light, because we're very mediocre middle So I'm going to mix in some dark, and I'm just going to take some of that dark back in. Actually, I don't want it up there really, but never mind. I want that dark into the sides. I'm going to do the same on this side. We're going to really just darken that side down, I think. I think sometimes you just forget it is actually an evening picture. I'm just going to get some of that, but I don't want it to be all it's straight lines but not straight. That doesn't make sense, does it? But it just shows movement in the sea as well. So I'm just going to get those on, and then I'm really going to hammer that white back in as well. But right now we need a little bit of depth. So how are you all doing? Have you painted? You know, some people actually may not paint, may just watch, and you may have another craft that you like doing that maybe you followed along doing your own craft. I think people, you know, knit, they crochet, and all these things help when you're going through grief. If you've got something that you can do just to keep your mind occupied. Some people might like to do something similar, but do it with crayons and patterns and into the sea. Do it more abstracty. All these things are fine. It's all about just giving our minds some rest by taking it away from all the thoughts of where we are in our life. One of the things I did find hard when I went to the coast this week was the fact that I went in the week, and when you go in the week, there's a lot of elderly couples around who go to watch the tide come in as well, or down to the coast for something different to do. And you know, I still find that hard sometimes, that I'm on my own, and I would love to have my husband with me. So yeah, it is, that probably is one of the tougher ones. And do you find that? Do you find sometimes you look at other couples and think, why haven't I got to be old? I know I'm not young. To be older with my husband. It always seems a little bit unfair. There is no fairness in how long we all get on this planet, on Earth. That to me is a hard bit. Do you find that hard too? I've spoken to other people about it in the past, and they've said the same. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of or bothered by if you've looked at people and thought that's unfair that they're still enjoying life together and you're not with your partner. I think it's quite normal. I'm still trying to just put a bit of a curve into my paint strokes on here to give that impression of the curve in the whale, because at the end of the day it's not a flat object, is it? It's a living creature with shape. certainly does look a lot more interesting there, doesn't it? Kind of almost, I just want to get the indication of an eye there without it being too harsh. Quite often a bit of purple really does just give that little bit of an oomph to something that probably hasn't any purple in it whatsoever, but I always find it's a good colour to get some of the shaping in without being too harsh. It's a bit of my fallback purple. In most of my animals, you might find I've got purple, or even something like an aubergine, or green. By adding those colours, you give the black, the dark, a bit of a shine. I just wanted to get those splashes in here and down here, and then we can build the white up. So I've got a slightly bigger brush to do it this time, and let's see if we can get those splashes looking good. So that bit there is already a lot deeper than I have actually made it, I think. That's back on Splash Crazy. So, I'm gonna have to leave that to dry completely. I actually think my whale was the best thing to do with the yellow and the purple. Just put a little tiny more splashes out there. What do you think? I'm happy with the splash. I need to get those white bits in here, which is fine if we cover some of that splash because it wouldn't be so wild, but I want to brighten that. That reflection from the moon now would be a lot more vicious than it is showing right there. So I'm going to come back in with a little bit more white. We're almost there, aren't we? Okay. What's your thoughts, everybody? You're very, very welcome to leave a message in the in the comments below. I'll answer any questions. Like and subscribe if you have enjoyed it, because again, that does help me get more views and get everything out to you easier. By just tipping my brush up completely there, that's just getting some of that splash down from the whale coming out of the water, and just getting some of those splash marks upwards. I've split the brush open again and just end up with a little bit more of a splashing edge. Okay, so that's leave it to dry, and I will then debate those words for getting them onto the picture. You don't have to fight the tide. We just sometimes have to sit with the grief when it arrives and let it pass through us. But you will survive it, and you will come out the other side. Well, I moved away from my messy table. Yeah, it just get messy, and I think some of that paint might not actually come off it, but never mind. And there it goes. I am really happy with this one. I'll let you in a little secret. Never painted waves before. So when grief hits, take time out, just let it ride over you, go with it. Sometimes we just need a damn good cry, and that's the way it is. and then it'll say, you don't have to fight the tide. Of course you don't. We have to remember, just like the whale who goes underwater, who goes with the waves, who goes with time and sings, we have to breathe through the waves. Just remember. And if you've enjoyed today's, please like and subscribe to my channel, because that will help you find me again. It'll help me keep building that channel as well. And it won't just help me or you, it might help other people too. Pass it on. Thank you.